Hey guys, Todd here from ToolBoxBuzz. Today, just cleaning up my wood shop and figured maybe I'd do a quick tour of the shop. I know you guys see Rob's shop all the time where he videos most of our tool review videos. I have my own shop here in New Hampshire that I use quite often, and guys have been asking over on Home Construction Improvement, my other website, if I do a quick little video tour. So this shop is a little bit unique in the sense that it's a second floor shop above the garage. I built this garage when I built the house, and I installed attic trusses knowing that I would have a shop up here at some point. And a lot of guys have been asking how I did it, what the layout's like, what it's like working up here, so I figured I'd do a quick little video tour. So let me turn this camera around and we'll take a quick little tour. Stand by. So the tour is going to start down here in the garage where I've got a Delta dust collector. And the benefit of the second floor shop is I've got this dust collector down here, and I've got it piped up to the attic in multiple locations. That one happens to go to the unisaw in the center of the shop. But as you go up on either side of the shop, in the wings of the shop, there's dust collection up there. And also I had the benefit of putting my compressor down here as well. So I saved a little bit of space up in the shop by doing that. And as you can see, this is a pretty hefty truss system that was designed for the shop up here. So next, and please ignore the mess in my shop, I've got winter time with no place to put things, so the stuff's stacked everywhere. You come up the stairs, it's a 4-foot wide staircase, which I know is not ideal for getting sheet goods up here. Oftentimes I'll break things down in the garage with a track saw. Sometimes I'll actually carry them up here. It's not horrible. So as you come up into the shop, you can see we're definitely in the attic. You can see kind of that A-frame look to this. I've got about 8'6" ceiling height in here, and the width side to side finished out to the cabinet is, I believe, 16 feet or so, something like that. I have to measure again. I haven't measured in a long time. Front to back, from where I'm standing here at the staircase, this is about 28 feet long. So, you know, there's a lot packed in here. The heart and soul of my shop is my unisaw. Kind of a special story there. I got the pleasure of traveling down to Anderson, South Carolina when Delta was actually making these down there. See if I can open this real quick and show you guys. I get to go down and watch them build a unisaw, and they actually built this unisaw for me. And I had all the guys that built my unisaw sign the inside of the motor cover here, so that was kind of special and something I'll remember for a long time. It's pretty neat to see them build this saw down there and the pride that goes into their saws. Unfortunately, that place is not open any longer. I have a sneaky suspicion they're building them overseas now. The back side of the table saw, I built an outfeed table and basically put some black Formica on it to give it a nice working surface. I also plowed some grooves in the top to line up for my miter slots. And one of the things I did, which I don't regret, and I would highly recommend anybody building an outfeed table, I put some of these Rockler T-slots in, and I use these little tie downs all the time when I'm assembling things. It's a great extra set of hands and love having it. As I mentioned before, the dust collection for the table saw, it comes in down below here in the center, and then along both sides of my shop I've basically got blast gates plumbed in, and I can hook anything to them and basically have easy dust collection at any one of the ports. And then to simplify things, because the dust collector's downstairs, what I did, and it's a 220 motor, I basically wired in a contactor. And what a contactor will do is, I've got each one of these white switches are my dust collection. I can turn that on here at this location, and then I can go to the other side of the shop, and because I use three-way switching, I can shut the dust collector off at that location. So at any one of these dust ports, I've got a switch nearby designated by the white switches for my dust collection. So I could be working over at my bandsaw, have the dust collection on, and think, oh, I got to run over here to the miter saw. Why turn it off and repower up the motor, make a cut here, and then shut it off? So that's been extremely useful. And if you're interested in how that works, there's lots of articles online about how to hook up a simple contactor system. So basically these switches up here are running on a low voltage circuit, and they basically relay that circuit down to the contactor. The contactor actually puts the high voltage to the blower. I've had that set up now for, oh gosh, maybe 6 years, and it's worked really, really great. On top of that, at the miter saw station, I wanted to have 2 zones of dust collection. So I've got a big old hood back here behind the wall, and I've also got another hose hooked up to the saw's own dust collection port, and it seems to work pretty good. You know, it's not perfect. As you know, miter saws are really tough to collect all the dust, but this seems to work pretty good for me, and I've had good luck with it. And then I got really creative and went kind of MacGyver, and because I don't want all the dust collection at every port going all the time, I put a blast gate down below, and I've got just this little linkage, and I can't get under there now to get to it, but the blast gate's down below the hood, and I can open and close that with this little rod. It's worked pretty slick. Again, just trying to make everything so that I can get the most volume out of the dust collection, so if I'm not using a port, it's not open. So, you know, I've got the unisaw, I've got the outfeed table, that all works great. I've got my compressed air from down below pumped up here. I can use, I think I got a little brad nail hooked up to it right now. I can use that to blow things off. I've also got another port down at this end of the shop by the drill press that I use quite a bit for blowing things off. So I've got plenty of compressed air up here. I've got lots of clamps and things hung on this end wall. It's tough. I don't have a lot of space to hang things on the walls just because of the sloped ceilings up here. So I've had to get a little bit creative. I've built a lot of cubbies. You can see over here I've got a place for fasteners and nails and things like that. I've got a bunch of my Festool boxes kind of stacked behind here. I've got all of my equipment, here's my planer, on rolling stands, and that allows me to really move things around and make the most of the small space. Even the drill press, which I seldom move, but if I've got something long, I can pull that out here on the floor and take advantage of some extra floor space. Most of the time it just sits there in the corner and doesn't take up a lot of room. Same thing, I've got my joiner on a roller, and I move that around depending on how long the pieces are. Bandsaw, again, on a roller. So, and you can see, you know, I've got a dust port and I've got outlets conveniently placed with all of these. I've got some cubby storage down below. Some of these I haven't finished out yet. Plenty of places to store things. Miter saw bench, I've got an article on home construction improvement about that. Nothing too fancy. Got some sliding drawers for parts. I built a sliding back fence that uses these T-slots, and I can hook up some Rockler stops on these for cut stops, and I can square it to the fence of the miter saw. I actually use that quite a bit when I'm building cabinets and things like that. I've been very happy with the Bosch Glide miter saw. It's been a great asset here in the shop. I've enjoyed that quite a lot. Here you can see those Rockler stops that I like to use with the fence, and again I can move that, I can square that. I used hardboard for the tops, and I can easily pull that out and change it out. There's a couple screws in it, and you know, I'm not worried about them getting paint and junk like that on there. One of the things that's tough about a shop up here, there's not a lot of room for sheet goods and extra material, so I have to keep things pretty cleaned up. That's what I was doing this morning. Heating and air conditioning, I've got one of these, you know, LG, I think this one's probably 5 or 6 years old, but it'll do AC in the summertime, which I really need up here, and it'll do heat in the wintertime down to about 0 degrees. Anything colder than that, this is an older version, doesn't seem to do well, so don't spend a lot of time out here during that. Lots of chargers, you know, we test lots of tools, so battery platforms, I don't have the pleasure of being in one, so I've got a whole mess of them. Little bench grinder. This becomes a little workstation for me that I use quite a bit. Storage that I built in these cabinets. I've got a sub panel that I ran up here to power all the tools. I've got a rolling router table, and I made this top, and this has worked out to be really great. I can use this and roll this around in the shop as a little assembly table, and I absolutely love it. Highly recommend it. So if you've got one of these rolling router table setups, make yourself a nice little top. You can sit it on there. It'll keep the top from rusting and things like that. This morning I actually spent some time sanding and waxing all my cast iron tops. I haven't been up here in a while. Believe it or not, this little rigid benchtop sander I use more often than I ever could have imagined, and that's come in really handy, and I just move that around the shop wherever I need it. And that's really kind of a nutshell of the shop. I have a Delta air cleaner hung from the ceiling. It's actually worked out pretty good. It's kind of low, but being at the back of the outfeed table, it really hasn't been that much of an issue, so that's worked out pretty well too. I've got another fan that goes up through the cupola in the garage. In the summertime, I'll turn that on and try to cool things off. So that's the shop in a nutshell. You know, it's not huge, but it works. So if anybody's really interested in building a shop over their garage, you know, you don't have space for a dedicated shop, this is a pretty good alternate, especially if you've got the structure to support it. You know, obviously these are heavy tools, so if you've got an existing garage, you'll need to, you know, talk to somebody about rafter sizes, floor system, things like that, you know, in order to make it work. If you're getting ready to build a garage for a new house and you're looking for a place for a shop, and your wife doesn't want to build a dedicated shop, I'd give this a shot too. So anyway, hope you guys have a great day, and thanks for visiting the shop. We'll talk to you soon.